The Cessna's engines coughed like a dying beast, hurling us into freefall over the jagged teeth of the Rockies. My stomach lurched as the world inverted, blue sky swapping places with granite cliffs. And in that chaos, Jordan's hand shot across the aisle, gripping mine like a lifeline he never knew he needed. "Alex, if we die," he gasped, his voice cracking over the roar. "No, I never meant to break you." I yanked free, heart pounding not just from the plunge but from the lie in his eyes, the same eyes that had cost me everything back in the boardroom. As the plane clipped a ridge and spun into oblivion, I whispered a curse to the gods. Why him, of all people, to drag me into hell? We'd been airborne for barely 40 minutes, threading the needle between Denver's sprawl and the raw wilderness of Colorado's high country. It was supposed to be a routine hop, a client pitch in Aspen that Jordan and I had clawed over like alley cats. I'd lobbied hard for that solo flight, but the bosses at Vanguard Media, our cutthroat ad agency in Manhattan, had other ideas. "Teamwork builds empires," they'd said, slapping us both on the back with grins that hid knives. Teamwork, right? Jordan Hale was the golden boy, the Ivy League shark with the perfect jawline and a Rolodex full of trust fund connections. Me, Alex Rivera, the scrappy kid from Queens who hustled his way through night school and now bled ink for campaigns that kept the lights on in our Tribeca loft. We hated each other with the clean precision of rivals who'd shared too many late nights dodging each other's sabotage. The pilot, a grizzled vet named Hank with a mustache like a broom bristle, had joked about the turbulence as we buckled in. "Folks, this baby's seen worse than a summer squall. Just sip your coffee and dream of those fat Aspen bonuses." Jordan, lounging in the leather seat across from me, had flashed his trademark smirk, the one that said he owned the air between us. He was flipping through the pitch deck on his tablet, highlighting my slides in digital red like fresh wounds. "Rivera, your tagline's got heart, I'll give you that, but it's bleeding sap. Empower your legacy? Sounds like a retirement home ad." I bit back the retort, staring out at the endless green-brown quilt of the plains giving way to foothills. The coffee in my paper cup sloshed, bitter as my mood. We'd been at each other's throats since day one at Vanguard. Him poaching my ideas in meetings, me leaking just enough dirt to his mentor to stall his last promotion. Last month, he'd accidentally forwarded an email chain that painted me as the leak on a major Coca-Cola deal. It nearly got me fired. I'd spent weeks rebuilding bridges, nursing grudges that festered like open sores. Flying with him felt like tempting fate, but here we were, strapped into this tin-can-hurtling west, the hum of the props a fragile him against the mountain's silent threat. Then it hit, not turbulence, a shudder, deep and wrong, like the plane had swallowed a rock. Hank's voice crackled over the intercom. "Minor hiccup, folks. Ice on the props. Nothing to..." The words died as alarms wailed, red lights strobing the cabin like a disco from hell. The nose dipped, and gravity betrayed us. My tray table flipped up, coffee exploding in a hot arc across my lap. Jordan's tablet skittered away, clattering against the bulkhead. "What the fuck?" he yelled, his cool shattering as he fumbled for his shoulder harness. I gripped the armrests, knuckles bone white, the world tilting into a vortex of cloud and crag. Flashes. Mom's rosary beads in my childhood apartment, the sting of my ex's goodbye text last Christmas, the promotion I'd chased since 22 now dangling like a noose. And Jordan. God, Jordan. His face pale as milk, eyes wide with something primal, unmasked. No smirk, no superiority. Just a man, 28 like me, staring down the barrel of maybe. The impact was a thunderclap. We sheared through treetops, the fuselage groaning like a beast in labor, before slamming into a snow-dusted slope. Metal screamed, glass shattered, and then, blackness merciful and absolute. I woke to white, not the pearly gates, but a blizzard's belly, flakes swirling in through a gash in the fuselage like confetti at a funeral. My head throbbed, a warm trickle down my temple confirming the gash above my eye. The seatbelt bit into my waist, and my legs tingled, pinned under twisted metal. Groaning, I twisted, ignoring the fire in my ribs. "Hank? Jordan." A cough answered from the shadows. Jordan stirred in his seat, blood streaking his cheek from a cut lip. His suit jacket shredded like confetti. He blinked at me, dazed, then unclipped with trembling fingers. "Rivera, you alive?" "Barely." I clawed at my own buckle, freeing myself in a tumble onto the tilted floor. The cabin was a ruin. Overhead bins vomited luggage, the co-pilot's chair dangled by wires, and Hank, poor Hank, slumped forward, neck at an angle that turned my gut. No pulse when I checked. Just gone. The radio hissed static, the controls a mangled joke. Outside, the storm howled, wind whipping snow into our faces through the breach. We were on a ledge maybe 100 feet wide, dropping sheer into a ravine choked with pines. The plane's tail stuck out like a broken limb, one wing crumpled against rock. No fire, thank Christ, no explosion to finish us. But the cold seeped in, insidious, promising hypothermia by nightfall. Jordan staggered to his feet, wincing as he tested his ankle. "We need to signal." "Flare gun in the back." He rummaged through the debris, pulling out a survival kit with the frantic energy of a man denying panic. I joined him, our hands brushing over a first aid pouch. Awkward, charged, like touching a live wire. We hadn't been this close since that forced team-building ropes course 2 summers back, when I'd fantasized shoving him off the platform. "Got it," he muttered, holding up the red cylinder. But as he aimed through the tear, the wind caught it wrong. The flare arced wild, vanishing into the whiteout like a drunk's promise. Shit. Satellite phone. Dead. Battery shattered, screen cracked. We were ghosts now, cut off in this frozen nowhere. The Rockies didn't care about ad execs or grudges. They swallowed men whole. By dusk, we jury-rigged a shelter from seats and coats, huddled around a chemical hand warmer that barely pierced the chill. Jordan's breath fogged between us, his knee brushing mine in the tight space. "This is insane," he said, voice low, staring at the darkening sky. "We were gunning for the same VP slot. Now we're this." I laughed, sharp and hollow. "Karma's a bitch, Hale. Maybe it's payback for that coke leak." The words hung, bitter as the altitude. He flinched, rubbing his hands together. "I didn't... Look, Alex, that email? It wasn't me. I covered for you, actually. Told Marla it was a glitch." His eyes met mine, shadowed but steady. Lie or truth? Couldn't tell, not yet. The cold made everything sharper, vulnerabilities cracking open like thin ice. Night fell hard, stars punching through clouds like accusations. We talked in fits, about the city, the grind, the hollow ache of climbing ladders that led nowhere. Jordan admitted his folks' divorce had wired him for war. Every deal a battlefield. I spilled about Dad's mill closure in '08, how I'd sworn never to bend for anyone. Hours blurred, the storm a lullaby of rage outside. Somewhere in the dark, exhaustion pulled me under, Jordan's shoulder a reluctant pillow. Morning brought clarity and cruelty. My ankle had swelled overnight, a sprain turning purple. Jordan's ribs ached from the crash, but he moved better, scouting the ledge. "There's a trail down there, faint, but it snakes toward the valley. If we make it to tree line, maybe cell signal." He helped me bind my leg with a tie, his fingers careful, almost tender. I hated how it stirred something. Gratitude? Or worse? We descended slow, me leaning on him like a crutch I despised needing. The path was a goat track, slick with ice, pines whispering warnings. Halfway, disaster. A cornice gave way, snow avalanching in a roar that buried my good leg. I clawed free, gasping, but Jordan dove back, digging with bare hands until his nails bled. "Got you," he panted, hauling me up, our faces inches apart, breath mingling. His eyes, that impossible blue, held mine too long. "Don't you dare quit on me, Rivera." "Why not?" I shot back, voice raw. "You'd get the promotion by default." He released me abrupt, turning away. "Because, fuck, Alex, because you're the only one who ever saw through my bullshit." The words landed like a slap, stirring dust in corners I'd boarded up. We pressed on, the valley teasing below, but doubt gnawed. Was this bond real or just survival's fever dream? By midday, we hit a clearing, pines parting to reveal a frozen creek. Jordan hooped, spotting a ranger cabin's smoke trail miles off. Hope surged, but so did the storm's return, winds whipping to 40 knots. We foraged what we could. Pine cones for tinder, a rusted canteen half full from the kit. As we built a fire, sparks flying like fireflies, Jordan's voice dropped. Remember that gala last spring? When you danced with that guy from GQ? I froze, flint in hand. Yeah, what about it? You looked free, like you didn't give a damn who was watching. He poked the flames, avoiding my gaze. Made me jealous, not of him, of that. The admission hung fragile as the smoke. I wanted to press, to unravel him, but the wind howled louder, drowning secrets. That night, curled in the lean-to, his arm draped accidental over my waist. Warmth I didn't shrug off. Sleep came uneasy, dreams tangled with boardrooms and blue eyes. Day 3 dawned brittle. My fever spiked, the gash infected, turning hot and swollen. Jordan force-fed me aspirin from the kit, his worry etching lines on his face. Stay with me, Alex. We're getting out. He fashioned a splint from branches, his touch lingering on my skin, tracing veins like a map to buried truths. We pushed toward the cabin, but betrayal brewed in the silence. Over lunch, stale protein bars by the creek, I confronted him. That email chain. Marla told me you forwarded it. Said it was anonymous, but your IP bounced right back. Jordan's face crumpled, firelight dancing shadows. Yeah, I did it. The confession spilled, ugly and raw. Pressure from his mentor, fear of losing the edge. I was scared, okay? You're good, too good. Threatened everything I built on lies. Rage boiled, hotter than fever. I shoved him, weak but furious. You almost tanked my career. For what? Daddy's approval. He didn't fight back, just took it, eyes glistening. I'm sorry, Alex. God, I'm so sorry. The fight drained us, leaving ashes. That afternoon, as thunderheads gathered, we stumbled into the cabin. Abandoned, but stocked with canned beans and a landline that crackled to life. Ranger Station, a voice answered. Coordinates. Relief flooded, but so did the storm, lightning cracking like judgment. As Jordan relayed our position, hail pelted the roof, and a gust shattered the window. Glass flew, and in the scramble my splint caught, yanking me toward the drop outside. I teetered, world narrowing to the abyss. Jordan lunged, tackling me back, his body slamming mine to the floor. We lay tangled, hearts hammering in sync, his face buried in my neck. Never again, he whispered, broken. I won't let you fall. The ranger's voice echoed tinny through the receiver, promising a chopper by dawn if the weather broke. Sit tight, boys. Medevacs en route. Jordan hung up, slumping against the rough-hewn wall, his shirt torn and bloodied from the glass shards. The cabin smelled of damp pine and old tin, a relic from some forgotten mining boom. Its single room cluttered with rusted tools and a potbelly stove that we'd coaxed to life with scavenged wood. Outside, the hail softened to sleet, drumming a relentless tattoo on the tin roof. But inside, the air thickened with unspoken rot. I propped myself on a threadbare cot, ankle throbbing like a war drum, fever turning my thoughts to sludge. Jordan knelt by the stove, stirring beans in a dented pot, his back to me. A fortress of broad shoulders and unspoken sins. The betrayal gnawed deeper now, insulated from the wild, no longer diluted by adrenaline. You think sorry fixes it? I rasped, voice scraped raw. Years of your shit. Stealing credit, whispering poison. I trusted you once, Hale. In that dive bar after the Super Bowl pitch, when we cracked that Amstel and laughed till closing. He froze, ladle mid-stir, then turned slow, eyes shadowed in the fireglow. I remember. You quoted Springsteen. Trapped in the belly of the beast. Said it fit us. Grinding for scraps in the city that chews dreams. A ghost of a smile, bitter. I laughed because it was true. But I envied you, Alex. That fire. You fight clean. I fight to win, no matter the body count. Clean. I barked a laugh, wincing as it jarred my ribs. Says the guy who grew up summering in the Hamptons, yacht parties with senators' kids. Try scraping by on ramen and subway fumes, watching your mom cry over eviction notices. I fight because I have to. You fight because it's a game. Jordan set the pot aside, crossing to me in 2 strides, dropping to one knee. Up close, the cut on his lip had scabbed, pulling tight when he spoke. It's not a game. Not anymore. His hand hovered near my arm, hesitant, then settled light. I anchor in the fever's tide. My old man's a ghost, Alex. Boardrooms swallowed him whole, heart attack at 52. Chasing mergers like they were salvation. Mom's on her 3rd husband, pills to forget the first 2. I learned early, vulnerability's a weakness, so I armored up. With you. I cracked. The words pierced, stirring something treacherous. Empathy, maybe, or the delirium's mercy. I searched his face, that chiseled profile softened by stubble and strain, and saw not the rival, but the man, vulnerable, reaching. Cracked how? I pressed, voice barely above the sleet's hush. He exhaled, thumb brushing my wrist absent. That night in the bar after the laughs? I watched you leave with that bartender, tall guy, tattoos like yours. The way you moved, unapologetic. It hit me. I'd spent years hiding, dates with women to keep the firm happy, hookups in shadows because admitting I wanted a guy like you? Career suicide. But seeing you own it? Fuck, Alex. It made me want to burn the armor. My breath caught, the room shrinking to the space between us. I'd clocked his vibe early, the lingering glances in the office kitchen, the way he'd linger after meetings, probing with questions that felt too personal. But hate had blinded me, a shield against the pull. Now, trapped in this cabin's womb, truth seeped like smoke. You think confessing changes the scoreboard? I murmured, but my hand turned, fingers lacing his. Warm, steady. Jordan's gaze dropped to our joined hands, then lifted, raw. No, but maybe it evens the odds. He leaned in, forehead to mine, the scent of pine and sweat mingling. Intimate, electric. No kiss, not yet. Just the weight of almost, the storm outside mirroring the one within. We ate in silence after, beans hot and metallic, the fire popping like punctuation. Talk turned lighter, survival's gift. Stories of botched pitches. The time Jordan streaked Coney Island on a dare. My epic fail at karaoke belting Whitney in a Hell's Kitchen dive. Laughter came reluctant at first, then free, thawing the grudge's frost. By nightfall, as wind rattled the shutters, we dragged the cot closer to the stove, sharing blankets in a tangle of limbs that felt less accidental. Sleep evaded, fever dreams chasing me. Planes spiraling, boardrooms dissolving into snow. I woke gasping, Jordan's arms slung over my chest, his breath warm on my neck. Moonlight slanted through cracks, silvering his lashes, and for a heartbeat, I let myself trace the line of his jaw. What if? The thought terrified, exhilarating. In the city, we'd circle each other like sharks. Here, we were beached, forced to breathe the same air. Dawn broke gray, the sleet relenting to mist. Jordan brewed coffee from a dusty tin, miracle of miracles, strong and black as our pasts. Choppers ETA noon, he said, handing me a mug. Rangers said the storm clipped a search plane yesterday. We're lucky. Lucky. The word tasted like ash. As we packed the kit, voices crackled on the landline. Delay. Mechanical issues, low visibility. Another day, the ranger drawled. Hang tough. Jordan's face fell, but he masked it quick, slinging the kit over his shoulder. Then we scout. Can't sit rotting. I nodded, hobbling after as we ventured out. The valley unfolded, a cathedral of rock and fir, eagles wheeling high like scouts. We followed the creek upstream, hoping for a better vantage, but the terrain turned treacherous, boulders slick, underbrush clawing. Half a mile in, conflict erupted. My ankle buckled on a root, sending me sprawling into mud. Pain lanced white-hot, and tears pricked, humiliating. Jordan hauled me up, but I shoved him off, pride a live thing. I don't need your pity parade, Hale. Go back, claim the hero story. I'll crawl if I have to. He gripped my shoulders, firm. Pity? This isn't pity, you idiot. It's... His voice broke, frustration boiling. It's me trying not to lose you. Again. The words hung, then shattered as thunder rumbled distant. Not storm, but rotors? No false hope, just an echo. We trudged back, tempers frayed, but apology brewed in the silence. At the cabin, he rebandaged my ankle, fingers deft, eyes apologetic. I get it, the hate, I earned every ounce. But Alex, this crash, is not karma. It's a reset. Let me prove it. Prove how? The question burned, but exhaustion won. That afternoon, rain pattered soft and we played cards from the kit. Go fish of all things, laughing over bluffs and bad hands. His foot nudged mine under the table, deliberate now, a question in the touch. I didn't pull away. Evening brought the climax's whisper. As firelight danced, Jordan pulled a flask from his pack. Whiskey, smuggled for nerves. We passed it, stories deepening. His first crush, a college roommate hidden in dorm shadows. My coming out at 20, Dad's quiet nod over beers. Vulnerability flowed, liquid gold, until the flask emptied and the air charged. I love the fight in you, he said, sudden, voice husky. But more I love. You. Have for months. Hated myself for it, because it meant admitting I was wrong about everything. The confession landed like the crash, shattering, inevitable. My heart stuttered, walls crumbling. Jordan. I reached, cupping his face, thumb tracing that scabbed lip. Our mouths met tentative, then fierce. Salt and whiskey, years of tension uncoiling in a kiss that tasted of redemption. His hands in my hair, mine fisting his shirt, the world narrowing to heat and heartbeat. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed. This changes nothing, I whispered, half-lie. Everything. He smiled, soft. Good. But fate, cruel jester, had other plans. Midnight sirens wailed, not wind, but alarms. Smoke curled from the stove, embers igniting the dry beam overhead. Panic surged. The cabin, our fragile haven, betrayed us in flames. Flames licked the rafters like hungry tongues, the cabin transforming from sanctuary to pyre in heartbeats. Acrid smoke clawed my throat, eyes watering as I bolted upright, the cot's springs screeching protest. Jordan was already moving, yanking the door open to a gust that fanned the blaze higher. Out! Now! He barked, grabbing the kit and shoving it into my arms. I stumbled after, ankle screaming, the floorboards hot underfoot. Heat singed my heels, the air thickening to tar. Behind us, the potbelly stove belched fury. Overfed coals from our careless poker game, a spark jumping to tinder-dry wood. Irony bit deep. Our thaw, sparked by that flask and kiss, now literal inferno. We burst into the night, rain-slick grass a shock against the blaze's roar. The cabin whooshed, windows shattering in pops like gunfire, orange light painting the valley in hellish strokes. I collapsed against a pine, coughing black phlegm, watching our refuge devour itself. The landline, the cot, the fragile piece gone. What now? I wheezed, fear a vice on my chest. Jordan scanned the dark, rain matting his hair, jaw set. Up the ridge, higher ground, away from the smoke. Chopper'll spot the fire, use it as a beacon. His hand found mine, pulling me to my feet with that same unyielding grip from the avalanche. No time for doubt. Survival stripped us bare. The climb was agony. Mud sucking at boots, thunder rumbling overhead like divine laughter. Lightning forked, illuminating the chaos. The cabin a bonfire bonanza, flames leaping 20 feet, drawing shadows that danced like accusations. My fever raged, vision blurring, but Jordan anchored me. Arm around my waist, whispers of one step, Alex, just one. His body heat a bulwark against the chill. Halfway up, Betrayal's ghost resurfaced, ugly in the storm's glare. This your fault too? I panted, venom born of pain. Playing hero to erase the sabotage? One good deed, and we're square. He halted, rain sheeting between us, eyes flashing hurt. Damn it, Alex, not now. But I pressed, words tumbling like rocks. You confessed love to save your ass, romantic cover for the rat you are. Admit it. Thunder cracked, punctuating his silence. Then, quiet thunder. Maybe at first, the crash forced the mirror. But the kiss? That was real. You're real. He stepped closer, hands framing my face, thumbs brushing rain from my cheeks. Hate me tomorrow, but tonight, let me carry you. The storm broke then, not in fury but release. Rain pounding, washing grime and grudges. I nodded, spent, leaning into him as we crested the ridge. Below, the fire raged, a signal flare unintended, visible for miles. We hunkered under an overhang, blankets from the kit our only shield, bodies pressed close against the deluge. In that precarious nest, truths unfurled like wet petals. Jordan spoke of his closet's cage, fake straights at Vanguard mixers, anonymous grinder nights that left him hollow. I watched you, though, openly gay, owning the rainbow pins on your bag, quoting Audre Lorde in diversity trainings. Made me ache for that freedom. His voice cracked, vulnerability a river. Sabotaging you? It was fear. Of wanting what you had. Of you seeing me. I swallowed, throat tight. I saw you. Always did. The hate? It was safer than admitting the pull. My fingers traced his collarbone, exposed by torn shirt. A map of scars, literal and not. Dad died last year, you know. Liver from the booze. Left me wondering if I'd end up the same. Fighting shadows till they consume me. You make me want to fight for light. We kissed again. Slower now. Rain a curtain around our world. Not passion's blaze but embers deep, sustaining. His lips soft, tasting of salt and smoke. Hands mapping my back with reverence. No rush, no desperation. Just two men, stripped by sky and fire, choosing each other. Dawn crept hesitant, mist veiling the valley. The fire had burned to embers, smoke pillar thin but steady. Jordan's watch chirped, radio static from the kit's emergency beacon. Mayday, mayday. Vanguard 2 Souls, coordinates 39.5 north, 106.2 west. Repeat. The response crackled. Copy Vanguard. Rescue en route. ETA 20 mics. Hang tight. Elation surged, whoops echoing off rocks. We clung, laughing through tears, the ridge a throne over our trial. But climax loomed, betrayal's final twist. As rotors thrummed distant, Jordan's face shifted, guilt shadowing joy. Alex, before they come. One more truth. My stomach nodded. What? The promotion. I withdrew yesterday before the flight. Emailed Marla from my phone. Said you deserved it. Clean slate. He pulled a crumpled printout from his pocket. Ink smeared but legible. His resignation from the race, endorsement glowing. You why? Shock warred with warmth, betrayal transmuted to grace. Because winning without you isn't winning. He cupped my neck, gaze fierce. And losing you? Unthinkable. The chopper crested, blades chopping mist, a black hawk against pearl sky. Winch lines dropped, medics rappelling like angels. They hauled us up, me first, Jordan last. Blankets and IVs waiting. In the cabin's hum, as Aspen General loomed below, his hand found mine again. This isn't the end, he murmured over the din. It's the pitch we nail together. But en route, conflict crested anew. My phone, salvaged and charging, buzzed. Text from Marla. Jordan confessed the leak. Your VP. He's out. Then, a voicemail from him, time-stamped pre-crash. Alex, if I chicken out saying it, I love you. Fight me on it later. Tears stung. Betrayal redeemed, not in words but action. The quiet sabotage of his own walls. Touchdown was chaos. ER bays, stitches, scans. Fractured ankle for me. bruised ribs for him, but alive. Families swarmed. My sister Elena from Queens, bearing tamales and tears. His mom from Connecticut, prim in pearls, hugging awkward. Reporters lurked outside. Miracle in the Rockies fodder for CNN. That night, in adjacent rooms, Jordan slipped in post-midnight, for pole trailing like a tail. "Escapees unite," he quipped, sliding into my bed careful. We lay tangled, monitors beeping duet, the city lights winking through blinds, a promise of home. "VP Rivera," he teased, finger tracing my cast. "Sounds presidential." "Co-VP Hale," I countered. "We rewrite the playbook." Sleep came easy, his heartbeat my lullaby. But dawn brought the human storm. His mom cornered me in the hall, eyes sharp. "He's fragile, Alexander. That withdrawal? Impulsive. Don't let him throw away his future for whatever this is." Her words landed like shrapnel, classist undercurrent, the old world's recoil. I stiffened. "This is his future, Mrs. Hale. Ours." She softened, fraction. "Then fight for it. He never has." The day blurred. Discharge. Private jet back to NYC courtesy of Vanguard's Guilt Fund. The firm threw a hero's welcome. Press conference in the lobby. Marla beaming as she pinned VP badges on us both. "Shared glory," she toasted. But whispers slithered. Jordan's demotion? My luck. We crashed at my loft that night. Tribeca's hum a bomb after wilderness roar. Pizza boxes piled. Wine flowed. And we debriefed. Crashes, echoes, and nightmares. Love's new weight. "Scared?" I asked, his head on my chest. "Terrified," he admitted. "Of us. Of failing you like I failed myself." "Then we learn," I said, kissing his temple. "Together." Weeks folded into rhythm. Corner office shared. Campaigns co-piloted. Nights tangled in sheets that smelled of him. Cedar and city. Pride swelled. Public handholds in Bryant Park. His coming-out email to the team rippling applause. But conflict simmered. His mom's cold dinners. My sister's wary nods. The firm's old guard eyeing our distraction. Climax brewed in boardroom thunder. A Levi's pitch, our magnum opus. Where your truth? Ads of men like us, unarmored. Rivals circled. A senior exec leaking doubts. Hale's soft now. Rivera's riding coattails. Whispers of Jordan's past sabotage resurfaced. Twisted. The meeting detonated. Accusations flying. Marla's gavel cracking. Jordan stood, voice steel. "I owned my mistakes. We both did. This campaign, it's us raw real. Reject it, you reject progress." Silence, then applause. We won not just the pitch, but the war, Vanguard's first openly gay power duo. Fall painted Manhattan in fire. Central Park ablaze with crimson maples. The air crisp with promise and the faint rot of change. 6 months post-crash, and the scars lingered. My ankles twinge on rainy days, Jordan's flinch at turbulence on flights. But the deeper wounds, they'd healed into something stronger. A lattice of trust woven from shared silences and stolen weekends in the Catskills, where we'd hike ridges and whisper futures over campfires. Vanguard thrived under our tandem, Rivera Hale. The tag they murmured, half jest, half awe. The Levi's campaign exploded, billboards of diverse faces beaming from Times Square to LA, pulling queer youth into stores like moths to flame. Protests erupted too, picket lines from conservative groups decrying agenda pushing. But we stood firm, Jordan's speeches quoting Stonewall. My op-eds in the Atlantic calling out corporate closets. Felt American as apple pie, messy, bold, unbreakable. Yet betrayal's shadow lingered, not in us, but the world. Jordan's mom escalated. Dinners devolving into interrogations, her pearls a noose. "You're wasting his potential," she'd his post-wine. Eyes on me like I was the crash's true wreckage. Elena, my anchor, pulled me aside after one. "He's family now, Alex, but blood's thick. Tread light." Jordan felt it deepest, retreating into work binges, the old armor creaking on. One night, post a gala where donors toasted our inspirational story. with backslaps that lingered too long on his waist. He shattered. We tumbled into the loft, Tux's half-shed. But instead of heat, he paced, whiskey in fist. They see us as the token couple. Brave survivors turned lovers. Like we're a Lifetime movie, not men building empires. I caught his arm, grounding. We are building. Look at the numbers. Diversity hires up 30%. Queer outreach exploding. That's us. He deflated, sinking to the rug, head in hands. But Mom, she called today, says Dad's ghost is rolling. Hail men don't parade. Like loving you is parade. Tears tracked, rare and raw. I withdrew from the race to prove myself to you. Now it feels like I lost more. The vulnerability gutted me. I knelt, pulling him close, his sobs muffled in my shirt. You didn't lose. You chose. And I'd pick you over any corner office. Every time. We rocked there, city pulse outside, until quiet claimed us. Love's quiet rebellion. Humanism bloomed in small graces. Volunteering at the Ali Forney Center, serving meals to queer homeless kids. Jordan reading bedtime stories with that golden boy charm turned genuine. One boy, 15 and fresh kicked out, latched onto him. You got the scars too? And Jordan nodded, sharing crash tales minus the romance, just survival's grit. I watched, heart full, seeing the man he'd armored hide. Climax crested unexpected, a bi-coastal crisis. Vanguard's LA branch tanked a Nike deal, execs blaming our Eastern distractions. Whispers turned shouts. A board vote loomed, ousting us for instability. Marla called emergency. Fight or fold, boys. We flew west, no Cessna this time, commercial, hands clasped through bumps. The meeting was gladiator pit. Suits in leather chairs, projections dooming our tenure. Jordan spoke first, voice steady thunder. You want stability? We're it. Post-crash, we doubled revenue, tripled inclusivity. Fire us, and you torch progress for quarterly comfort. My turn. Stories, not stats, the kid from Queens outpacing Hampton's heirs because we dared feel. America's not boardrooms. It's the crash, the confession, the choice to rise loving. Silence stretched, then cracks. Nods, a clap. Vote swung, we stayed stronger. Back east, winter blanketed the city in hush. Christmas Eve, snow falling soft on the high line. We walked arm in arm, breath clouds mingling. Jordan stopped under strung lights, pulling a box from his coat. Not ring, but keys, etched with a tiny plain wing. Our place, upstate cabin. No stoves to burn, just us. Tears pricked. Yes. New Year's dawned bright. Resolutions whispered in dawn light. More hikes, less hustle. Family bridges, not walls. His mom softened gradual. A pride invite accepted, her hand tentative on his shoulder. Elena hosted fusion Thanksgivings. Tamales beside turkey. Toasts to the survivors. Spring brought renewal. Our book deal, skybound, love after the fall. Not memoir, but manifesto, humanism in pages. Launches in indie bookstores. Readings to packed rooms of faces like ours scarred, seeking. 1 year post-crash, we returned to Colorado. Not wreckage site, but a meadow nearby, wildflowers rioting. Eagles soared, same as before. Jordan spread a blanket, picnic unpacked. Beans, canned, safe, whiskey, sipped slow. To confessions, he toasted, eyes that blew eternal. To us, I added, pulling him down into grass, kisses lazy under sun. No grand tragedy, no fairy dust, just life, American raw. Conflicts weathered, betrayals mended, love a daily climb. We weren't perfect. Arguments over dishes, nights missing flights. But in the mess, we found grace. The sky, once foe, now framed our horizon. Vast, unforgiving, beautiful. And in quiet moments, hand in his, I knew. The accident hadn't trapped us, freed us,